relating to contracting for public works projects.
All right. Chair Jordan, Councilmember Sneddon, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Brian Demore, City Engineer for the City of Santa Barbara. And this item is a follow-up. It's good news to share with you that the ballot measure was successful. This is a follow-up to, let's see, should be advancing these slides. Oh, there we go. I'll just scroll with the mouse. So this is a follow-up to two prior council actions. We came before you, before the full council in the fall, and we were directed to go ahead with the ballot measure to amend the charter so that we would have additional methods for procurement, both with types of contracts and the selecting methodology for the contracts. So the ballot measure went before the people just earlier this month, and overwhelmingly was supported by the voters, as you can see with the numbers here, over 73% in support. So just as a reminder, the measure was simply an amendment to the charter, which gives the city council the authority with a future ordinance to make amendments to the Municipal Code to increase these contracting options. So today, well, this is what I was talking about earlier. Today is to look at that draft ordinance. When we came before the full council in November, we presented the draft of that ordinance for transparency purposes, and today we have that ready to go. And there's really three key elements of the ordinance. One is additional types of contracts, and those are for projects over $500,000. And then alternative selection methods for those larger projects over $500,000. And then the third component is simplified procurement for small contracts, and there's two different thresholds for that. So this first element of the proposed ordinance is the different types of contracts, and typically before this proposed change, we would go with what's traditionally called design, bid, build. It's sequentially, and there's different contracts for the design and for the construction. There's other contracting methods that are out there widely utilized, such as design build. We've used this once before with the desal plant reactivation. It's good for certain types of complex projects. We probably won't use it all that frequently, but it's a good tool to have available. The other one that we have listed here that is part of the ordinance is contract manager at risk. And this would be really helpful to have, it will be helpful to have for large, complex construction projects. Something like the police station would have been ideal for this. We're too far along in that project to use this method, but something like the terminal improvement project out at the airport is likely to be a project that would go the what we call the CMAR route. And then the other component of the ordinance allows for a selection method other than low bid. And this was a big reason to come before the council with the ballot measure and now with this ordinance. So other than low bid, we have this option of best value, which allows us to utilize criteria other than the bid, criteria such as experience, management competency, labor compliance, safety record, financial condition. Those types of things can be weighed in addition to the bid in the selection process for a contractor. And you can't get a meeting without the city engineer without seeing a formula. So I've put this slide up just to give you an idea of how other agencies handle best value. And it's a formulaic approach. And again, like I said before, it uses criteria that no matter who's looking at it, they're going to score it the same way. So you take the bid and you divide it by the points through that evaluative criteria process. And basically the lowest value in this formulaic approach provides the city with the best value. And by doing it like this, it essentially weights the bid as 50% of the overall. The third component of the proposed ordinance is for these simplified procurement options for different values of contracts. The first being contracts under $100,000, and this would allow for direct negotiation for these smaller projects, which are often difficult to get contractors even interested in putting a bid together. Instead, we would be able to have a list established by the Public Works Director of contractors who are interested in doing work for the city. And then we can pull from that list. And really, we need to be fair in how we would distribute the work among the interested contractors on that list. And the list can be renewed periodically. And depending on performance, it can be adjusted as well. We believe this will be used pretty frequently because it is a challenge to find available contractors interested in bidding per the traditional method that we've had to follow. And then these medium-sized projects, 100,000 to 500,000, it's simplified, but a little bit more involved. We would have to establish a list of qualified contractors for different categories of work. And if we were to go this route, we would need to invite all of the contractors who are on that list for that category of work to submit a bid. And it would be a low value, it would be a low bid procurement. So those are the proposed those are the highlights of the proposed ordinance, and we have a recommendation that the Ordinance Committee forward this proposed ordinance to the full council.
Thanks, Brian. You definitely get extra qualification points for sticking that formula in.
All right.
Yeah, that was a good one. Questions?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. And well, since you did stick a formula in, I have a question about it. I thought I heard you say that the points would be something that if they were evaluated by different people, they might or they would come out the same. My one question is about how you measure management competency. It's listed in the slides as one of the criteria. So how is that measured?
Mm-hmm. Councilmember Sneddon, that's a really good question. In that category of management competency, one of the things we would look at would be their planned schedule, their planned approach to staging for the work, just how much they've thought through how they plan to execute the project and how realistic that is. Their manager's experience with doing similar work. I think we have relevant experience is another category, but it's important to at times separate out the entity who's bid on the project, their experience from who are the key personnel working on the project and what specific experience do they have.
Thank you. And so then that would be something that would be evaluated within the bid, not based on prior knowledge or prior relationship with whoever. It would be more how it's described in the bid with the schedule, the strategies, and all of that.
Yeah, Chair Jordan, committee member Sneddon, I would, if I could just elaborate a little bit more, that with the best value, we would put out a request for proposal as opposed to an invitation for bid. So in that request for proposal, the selection criteria would be well established ahead of time. So everybody who is elect to propose knows exactly what criteria and what weight, and if we're going to apply a formula, what that formula is. Anytime you're evaluating a proposal, there's a certain amount of subjectivity to it, but we want to limit that as much as possible. We want to make it as objective as possible. So the more specific we can be on what the criteria are, of course, the weighting will be very specific, and then how we're going to evaluate each of those criteria will assist the contractors. Like any public agency procurement, it's always subject to protest. So it's very important on our side to make sure that everybody on the contractor side believes it's a fair process. So that it's important for the public to know that this isn't the old days of a smoke-filled room and, we're giving it to this, but no, everything we do is evaluated on specific criteria and of course open to public scrutiny after the award is made.
Thank you, perfect. And then congratulations on the ballot measure passing. Thank you.
Just to follow up on how I heard that question, you are bringing a resume review or body of work review or industry knowledges of a past component as part of your RFP, right? I mean, that is part of the more subjective part, but it's or the less subjective part, but but it is part of that process that you're not just reviewing the dollars and the cents, because that's the whole point of this, right?
Chair Jordan, that is absolutely correct. And an example is if you're doing a complicated historic building renovation, you would want to know what their prior body of work was and then how they performed on that. And typically, that information is somewhat publicly known. So it can be verified to make sure what they put in their proposal is accurate.
And we're not reinventing the wheel. An astute contractor would be telling you about that as part of their submission too.
That's
When
correct.
they'd be saying, here's how our experience, here's the experience that we have, here's how we've applied it in the past, here's how we think there's a nexus to your project that puts us in the best position, and everybody would be lined up, and then you'd grade them on that formula, right?
And where the owner, in this case, the city of Santa Barbara, really benefits, if there's an expectation of future work, there's a desire to not get hung up on the little things and get the job done on time with high quality.
Perfect.
Where low bid, unfortunately, there is no incentive to do that. A good contractor will want to do that, but there's no financial reward and there's no carrot to future work, because when you're doing low bid, you're starting from zero the next project.
Good. I'd echo the congratulations to, there's people in and outside this room that attain that 70 whatever percent, but I'd love to see statistics on that and how often an initiative like that pulls in a 75 to 25 split on approval. Is quite extraordinary, I think. So there's no public comment in the room. Any public comment online?
For those who are participating remotely, if you can raise your hand within the app to speak on this item. Chair Jordan, we have one public commenter,
Okay.
Ashley Kaiser. Go ahead and unmute and speak.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, hello, Chair, members of the board, and staff. My name is Ashley Kaiser, and I am the Director of Government Affairs for AGC of California. Since 1920, AGC has been a driving force in the commercial construction sector in California. We represent about 900 member companies throughout the state. Our members have not only built but also maintained and innovated upon California's essential infrastructure And this includes contributions to affordable and mixed income housing, air and seaports, roadways, passenger rail system, among others. AGC of California supports the use of alternative delivery methods for construction projects, recognizing the value these approaches can bring to complex projects. However, we also believe in the relevance of the traditional design bid build model, particularly for smaller projects where alternative methods may introduce unnecessary complexity and cost. So the recent movement towards flexible procurement methods, as highlighted in the City of Santa Barbara's ordinance on your agenda today, does align with our understanding of the construction landscape is evolving. These changes brought forward by Measure A promise to diversify the ways in which public works projects can be contracted and delivered. We believe that our experience and the collective knowledge of our members could provide very valuable insights into the implementation of these new methods, ensuring that they serve the best interests of the city's projects without overshadowing the efficiency and cost effectiveness of traditional methods for suitable projects. So therefore, I'm here today to ask you respectfully to suggest a further dialogue that is necessary to discuss the implications of this ordinance in more detail. AGC of California is eager to share best practices and lessons learned from our extensive experience with both traditional and alternative delivery methods. And we believe that a collaborative approach to discussing these changes will be key to optimizing project outcomes, balancing costs, maintaining the high standards of California's infrastructure development. So in conclusion, I would thank you for your consideration of our perspective, and we're committed to supporting the city's efforts in enhancing our public infrastructure, and we would be happy to discuss this further with you all. So thank you so much for your time today and my ability to offer my comments.
Thank you. Any others?
Chair Jordan, there are no further speakers.
All right. We got plenty of time. Just to, do you hear anything that needs to be addressed from that public comment? Or is that not something that we just routinely would be participating in and allowing the dialogue and looking into best practices that may evolve from this in the future?
Chair Jordan, I'd be interested in reaching out to AGC and maybe scheduling some kind of meeting where we could transfer information. We're also, we've been reaching out to UCSB. They've been doing this for quite a while at this point, and they've got staff that have a lot of experience in the area. So we're open to collecting information because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, and we want to take lessons learned from others, whether it's another agency or from contractors, and be able to put the best product forward.
And all that would be more implementation rather than playing with this ordinance today.
Correct.
We're ready to go, right?
Yep.
Okay. Anything further?
Are you ready for a motion?
There's only two of us.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm happy to move the recommendation that this get forwarded on to council.
And I will second.
Thank you. Moved by Councilmember Sneddon, seconded by Chair Jordan, that the Ordinance Committee forward to council for introduction an ordinance to the council of the City of Santa Barbara amending sections 4.52.050, 4.52165, and 4.52.200 of the Santa Barbara Municipal Code relating to contracting for public works projects to implement approval by the voters of a proposed amendment to the city charter sections 519. And we will take a vote.
May I ask a clarifying question? In the recommendation in the PowerPoint, it's chapter 4.52 of Title 4, and none of those others are mentioned. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on the motion. Okay.
You're clear on the motion. The ordinance, when it goes to council, will reflect the ordinance title on the agenda of the council.
Okay, thank you.
And it passes unanimously with Oscar absent.
Good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hensky, for all your work on this, and Public Works staff. And again, it's like, let's just cross our fingers that the next one we ask for is just as popular. So thanks so much. We'll be adjourned.